In today's image-obsessed world, it's easy to believe that fame and fortune protect celebrities from insecurity, but they don't. Beneath the red carpets and flawless filters lies a deeper truth. Even the biggest stars can fall victim to the pressure to look perfect. Many have turned to cosmetic surgery hoping to reclaim youth, enhance beauty, or completely reinvent themselves. But sometimes, those choices lead to shocking, even heartbreaking outcomes. In this video, we uncover the stories of 10 famous faces whose transformations left them nearly unrecognizable. These aren't just tales of vanity, they're powerful reminders of the emotional toll, ethical gray areas, and steep price of chasing an impossible ideal. Carol Bryan's story is one that stops you in your tracks, a haunting reminder of how one decision, made with hope, can spiral into a nightmare. In 2009, at 47, Carol simply wanted what so many of us quietly wish for: a little help to turn back time. Just a gentle touch-up. Nothing drastic. She walked into a clinic expecting a routine cosmetic filler. But what she got was anything but routine. Instead of safe, FDA-approved materials, the practitioner injected her face with a toxic blend, including industrial-grade silicone, something never meant for facial tissue. The results were devastating. Her face began to swell, distort, and change in horrifying ways. The mirror no longer reflected the vibrant woman she once was. What was meant to be a small enhancement became a daily battle with shame, pain, and isolation. Still, Carol fought back. She underwent multiple surgeries in an effort to reverse the damage, but healing wasn't easy, physically or emotionally. Friends disappeared. So did her confidence. For years, she refused to leave the house. At one point, she even considered ending her life. Only her daughter stayed by her side, a lifeline in her darkest hour. Then, in 2013, came a major reconstructive surgery, a last resort to reclaim what was lost. It helped restore part of her face. But it came with a devastating price: permanent blindness in one eye due to damage to her optic nerve. And yet, she kept going. Skin grafts, facial implants, whatever it took to rebuild not just her face, but her sense of self. Her courage is nothing short of extraordinary. But the scars, both visible and invisible, remain. Today, Carol shares her story not for sympathy, but as a warning. Because behind the glamorous promise of quick fixes and harmless enhancements lies a very real risk. Her experience is a powerful reminder: always ask questions. Always research. Know your doctor. Know the substances. Don't just chase the results, understand the consequences. Dennis Avner's story is one of the most extraordinary journeys of self-identity the world has ever seen. A Navy veteran and skilled computer technician from Michigan, Dennis wasn't just shaped by his career or upbringing, he was deeply rooted in his Native American heritage. At just 23, after receiving spiritual guidance from a tribal elder, Dennis made a vow that would forever alter the course of his life: to embody the spirit of the tiger, a symbol of power, solitude, and fierce independence in Native tradition. What began as a few symbolic tattoos soon became a lifelong transformation. Driven by purpose, not spectacle, Dennis underwent over 14 major surgical procedures. His face was restructured with feline implants, his ears reshaped, his skin tattooed with tiger stripes, and even a tail was added. Working side by side with body modification legend Steve Hayworth, Dennis fearlessly redefined what it means to live in alignment with one's inner truth. By 2008, he was recognized by the Guinness World Records as the person with the most permanent body modifications to resemble an animal. To outsiders, his appearance was shocking, even unsettling. But to Dennis, every mark, every surgery, was sacred. It wasn't about turning heads, it was about turning inward, honoring the animal spirit he believed lived within him. He didn't become stalking cat to entertain or rebel. He did it to walk through this world with his spirit on display, for all to see. His path may have been misunderstood, but his message was universal: the longing to live authentically, no matter the cost. Donatella Versace isn't just a name in fashion. She's a living symbol of transformation, defiance, and unapologetic self-expression. While the world knows her as the force behind the iconic Versace empire, her personal journey is just as bold as any runway she's ever curated. It all started when she was just 11 years old, bleaching her hair at the urging of her beloved brother, Johnny, a future fashion legend. But this wasn't about vanity. It was the beginning of Donatella claiming her own identity, one fearless decision at a time. Over the years, she's embraced cosmetic procedures, Botox, fillers, lasers, not as a way to erase age, but to maintain the fierce, larger-than-life look that matches her spirit. Critics have plenty to say. Commentators roll their eyes. But Donatella never flinches. She's never apologized for her appearance, and she never will. Because to her, beauty isn't about pleasing others. It's about owning your image like art, sculpting it on your own terms. Each tweak, each transformation has been a creative act, no different than designing a couture gown or orchestrating a high-drama fashion show. What makes her unforgettable isn't just her signature platinum hair or bronzed cheekbones. It's her unwavering presence. Whether she's commanding a red carpet or pulling strings behind the scenes, Donatella exudes raw, electric confidence. In a world obsessed with youth and perfection, she offers a striking alternative: age boldly, live out loud, and never let the mirror define you. For anyone who's ever been told to tone it down or fade away, Donatella Versace stands tall as a reminder that true elegance isn't about fitting in, it's about daring to be entirely, extravagantly yourself. Jocelyn Wildenstein has fascinated the world for decades, not just for her lavish lifestyle, but for a face that became one of the most iconic, controversial, and unforgettable in pop culture history. Dubbed Catwoman by the tabloids, Jocelyn's striking appearance sparked global curiosity, endless headlines, and heated debates. Yet, behind the media frenzy is a woman far more complex than the caricature she's been painted to be. Jocelyn insists her dramatic features are the result of unique genetics and personal taste, not the product of countless surgeries, as critics claim. But over the years, her evolving look has made her both a muse and a mystery, standing at the center of a cultural storm about beauty, identity, and transformation. For some, she's a bold expression of artistic freedom, a woman unapologetically committed to her own aesthetic regardless of the backlash. For others, she's become a cautionary tale of what happens when the chase for perfection pushes beyond the edge. But love her or judge her, one thing remains clear: Jocelyn Wildenstein has never backed down. She's faced ridicule, media obsession, and public scorn with unshakable confidence, choosing to live by her own rules, not society's. In doing so, she's forced us to confront uncomfortable questions about aging, self-worth, and the brutal standards women face under the spotlight. Her story may seem extreme, but it mirrors a silent struggle many endure: the need to be seen, the freedom to define our own beauty, and the timeless desire to stay true to ourselves, no matter what the world thinks. Jordan James Park, famously known as the British Lip King, has turned his journey of transformation into a bold, unapologetic statement of identity. Born and raised in Birmingham, England, Jordan's fascination with beauty didn't begin in a surgeon's office. It started with admiration. Captivated by the glamour of celebrity culture, especially the allure of Kim Kardashian, he found himself drawn not just to the fame, but to the freedom of image. But his rise to notoriety wasn't smooth. A botched lip procedure landed him on the reality show Botched, where audiences first met a young man navigating the emotional aftermath of aesthetic ambition gone wrong. Instead of retreating, Jordan leaned into the spotlight, fearlessly. From nose reshaping to liposuction and chin augmentation, he continued to sculpt his reflection into the vision he carried inside. What sets Jordan apart isn't just his appearance, it's his honesty. He's spoken openly about the emotional toll, the moments of regret, and the addictive pull of cosmetic work, truths many in the beauty world keep buried. And even in the face of health warnings and public criticism, Jordan remains undeterred. To some, his look might seem extreme. But to him, it's liberation. At the heart of it all, Jordan believes one thing: beauty is personal. There's no one-size-fits-all, no mold we must squeeze into. In a world obsessed with conformity, he stands as a living reminder that confidence can come from the most unconventional places. His journey isn't about copying someone else, it's about becoming who he was always meant to be. For Jordan James Park, The body is a canvas, and self-expression, no matter how radical, is an art form all its own. Lin May, born Lilia Guadalupe Montalvo, once lit up stages across Mexico and Latin America in the 1970s with her dazzling presence, captivating audiences with every graceful move. She was the embodiment of glamour, elegant, radiant, and full of life. But behind the sequins and spotlight was a woman fiercely committed to preserving the image that made her a star, not out of vanity, but out of love for the stage and the people who adored her. There was also something more intimate, a lifelong struggle with congenital facial asymmetry she hoped to correct through cosmetic surgery. Like so many in the public eye, Lin placed her faith in promises of perfection. But one fateful decision would change her life forever. Trusting the wrong hands, she allowed an unlicensed individual to inject what was believed to be baby oil into her cheeks. What was meant to enhance her beauty quickly spiraled into a nightmare. Her face began to swell and distort, slowly at first, then uncontrollably. Each year brought more disfigurement, more surgeries, and more heartache. And though she sought help, much of the damage was beyond repair. The woman who once graced magazines and movie screens now found herself the subject of cruel headlines and shocked whispers. But Lin didn't hide. She stood tall, spoke openly, and used her pain to warn others about the dangers of unregulated cosmetic procedures. Through tears and courage, she turned her personal tragedy into a mission. Today, Lin May's story is more than just a tale of beauty lost. It's a powerful reminder of the hidden pressures behind fame, the cost of chasing perfection, and the strength it takes to face the mirror after it's cracked. Through her scars, Lin found a deeper kind of beauty, the kind that inspires others to be careful, to be kind to themselves, and to never let a mistake define their worth. Pete Burns wasn't just the voice behind the electrifying 1980s hit You Spin Me Round. He was a walking piece of art, a defiant force who shattered norms and refused to be boxed in. As the frontman of Dead or Alive, Pete captivated audiences with his powerhouse vocals and magnetic stage presence. But what truly made him unforgettable was his ever-changing appearance, an evolving expression of identity that pushed boundaries and challenged the world's expectations. What started with a routine nose job spiraled into nearly 300 cosmetic procedures over his lifetime. But for Pete, it was never just about vanity. These surgeries were acts of rebellion, of personal truth. He once said he wasn't chasing perfection. He was chasing alignment between how he felt inside and what the mirror reflected. His face became his canvas, and every change was a brushstroke in a self-portrait that dared to say, "I define me." Yet this journey came at a steep price. The surgeries led to agonizing infections, botched results, and painful corrections. Doctors warned him. Critics mocked him. But Pete didn't stop. He endured it all for the sake of authenticity. In a world that begged conformity, he chose transformation, on his own terms. Pete Burns was often misunderstood, even ridiculed. But he never apologized for being different. He believed in the freedom to shape not just your destiny, but your very form. His story is both a triumph of self-expression and a cautionary tale of the toll it can take, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. When Pete passed away in 2016 of natural causes, headlines focused on his appearance. But that was only the surface. His real legacy is the courage it takes to live unapologetically, to scream your truth into a world that often prefers silence. Pete Burns didn't just spin us around, he shook us awake. Pixie Fox isn't famous for acting or singing, but she's captured the world's attention in a way few ever do. Born in Sweden, Pixie embarked on a bold, controversial mission to transform herself into a real-life cartoon. Not just a makeover, but a complete reinvention of what she calls fantasy beauty. Think oversized eyes, a microscopic waist, and surreal, exaggerated curves, features that don't exist in nature, only in animation. To bring that vision to life, Pixie has undergone more than a dozen extreme surgeries, jaw reshaping, eyelid and ear alterations, and most famously, she had 6 ribs removed to sculpt an ultra-tiny waist that defies anatomy. Her transformation pushes the boundaries of modern medicine and of society's ideas about beauty, autonomy, and identity. Doctors have warned her. Some refuse to operate, fearing serious health consequences. But Pixie stands firm. For her, this isn't about vanity, it's about becoming the version of herself that feels most true. An artistic creation. A living masterpiece. Her journey has sparked fierce debate. Some see her as brave, a woman taking control of her body and her narrative. Others worry she's chasing an impossible ideal at the expense of her health and well-being. But one thing is certain, Pixie Fox has forced us to ask uncomfortable, necessary questions. What is beauty really? Where do we draw the line between freedom and danger? And what does it mean to truly feel like yourself in a body that doesn't conform? She may not fit the mold, but Pixie has carved out a space for a deeper conversation, one that challenges our assumptions and asks us to see the human form not as fixed, but as limitless. Thanks for watching Exposed Hollywood. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss a story that dares to go beyond the surface.